Good morning, y'all. Happy Wednesday. It's been a little minute since I've been able to sit down and have some conversation with you guys. But listen, if you're available, come in. Let's chat. Let's talk. Some of y'all might catch this live later, and that's cool. I just came to have a little conversation on, as you know, I've been trying to be committed more to these kind of go moments and just sharing with you guys what's on my heart, giving you guys some tools and things so that you can grow and be better. And whatever it is you're trying to be building, whether it's life, relationships, whatever that looks like for you, the goal is for us to always be better. I was talking the other day, I think I made a post like just about growth, right? And if you're not growing, you're stagnant. And so growth is sometimes looked at as a bad thing, but growth is not bad. Growth is a good thing. And growth is expensive. However, growth has many rewards. It's not just about the cost. I think sometimes we think about the cost of what it's always cost me, but we don't always reflect on the rewards of what does growth look like for me and the abilities to grow. And so, yes, growth is expensive. Like it's going to cost you something. I was talking to somebody yesterday and we were talking about just like about investing in ourselves and going forward, and a lot of times people don't want to take the steps to invest in ourselves because yes, some of the stuff is expensive, and when we really consider and think about a lot of the things that we have going on, sometimes it just doesn't add up. The money just doesn't make sense. um, However, I will say that although growth is expensive and it takes what they say, it takes money to make money. However, I'll say making sure that you invest in the right places is the most important thing, right? Because sometimes we can waste our money in spaces that we really shouldn't be spending our money in. And so, although growth is expensive, I want you to also be very mindful about, where you spend your money, not just where you spend your money, right? But also where you spend your time. Why? Because your time is your money. And so, wherever you spend your time, wherever you spend your money, wherever you decide that you want to utilize your resources, having an understanding that it's not always at a cost of, what you have to give up necessarily, um, but having a good understanding that it's okay and that growth is expensive, y'all. It's expensive. And so, listen, the other day, blessings. Good morning. I'm gonna give it a minute. I'm gonna just tag some folks in the live really quickly because I want to tell y'all a story. And I try not to have to go back and repeat, but I have a story I want to tell y'all to back what I'm saying because I think sometimes people be like, good morning. Hey, sis. And so I want to tell y'all a story really quickly about my son. And y'all know my son he's super analytical. My son is one of those kids that's my ride or die. But he's also one of those kids that he's going to analyze everything, think about everything, all the things. And so the other day, me and my son, we were just sitting here talking, and he was like, "Mom, like you are working so much." And I was like, "I know." And he was like, "Mom, like, do you feel like, pretty much are you seeing a return in in your work? Like, do you feel like you're seeing a return in what it is you're putting out?" Good morning, Miss Barbara. And I told my son, I said, "Yes, I feel like, I'm getting a return, on what I'm putting out. I'm working." And so he was like, "Okay." And so my son then proceeds to, he's, like I said, he's super analytical. So he's just like, he wants to know, like, well, what are you seeing? So he's asking me the question, are you seeing the fruits of your labor because, mommy, you're working so much? I say, yeah. And so he says, well, what is it? Right. And my response to him was, I get to show up for you, right? I get to show up for you. I get to come to your games. I get to take you to practice. I get to show up to your sister's games. I get to take your sister to practice. And so when I say that growth is expensive, right? But it also yields great rewards, is that sometimes your growth won't look like somebody else's growth because your goals are not the same as somebody else's goals. What you aspire to be is not the same as what somebody else aspires to be. And so when we talk about growth, when we talk about expansion, when we talk about success, It's going to look different for everybody. So when my son asked me, Mom, are you seeing the fruits of your labor? Are you seeing the fruits of what you're building and what you're doing? And my response is yes. To a kid, it doesn't look like it because he's looking for the mansion, he's looking for the car, he's looking for all these kind of things. Good morning, Trill. He's looking for all of the materialistic things sometimes, right? However, I told my son, I said, listen, my ability to show up for you, right, is the fruits of my labor, right? My abilities to be a present mom, right, is the fruits of your labor, is the fruits of my labor. Like my ability to come home and there's food ready for you, right, is the fruits of my labor. What am I saying is this: growth looks different for everybody. Growth will look different for everybody, and growth is according to what growth looks like for you. And so sometimes, just like in a kid, it doesn't seem like things are happening because people look for growth and in materialistic things. Hear me this morning. People look for growth in materialistic things versus the growth of an individual and what it is that you desire to do. And so my son asking me, Mommy, you work so much, but what is the fruits of your labor? Can you see the benefits of what you are building? Is me being able to let him know that, baby, once upon a time I couldn't be a present mom. I don't know. I know we like to fake it in all the things. Once upon a time, I had a nanny. Once upon a time, the nanny picked them up from school and brought them home from school and took them to practice and took them to different places that they needed to go because I was trying to make sure that I could provide for my family. I know we don't like this. Listen, I'm just trying to help y'all. And so as I begin to grow, my goal is not to be a millionaire because I want money in my pocket and I just want to be able to show off for other people, right? The goal is not to just have, hey sis, is not just to have a bunch of houses and a bunch of cars, right? But my goal and what success looks like to me is showing up for my family. Like what success looks like for me, good morning, Jania, is being able to be a present mother. Simple as that. And so growth is expensive. It's going to cost you something. And I'm teaching my kids through the process that it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost Lay's nights. He's like, Mommy, you just be sitting at your desk. Yeah, I'm sitting at my desk because I'm building something for you. Right? I'm sitting at this desk. He's like, Mommy, when I come home, I just see you sitting at this desk. Yes, you see me sitting at this desk, but you also see me sitting at the stands at your games. You also see me driving you to practice, right? You also see me being able to drive your sister to practice. My daughter at one point, she had 3 practices a day. Now my kids don't really play sports where we live, right? So I'm driving an hour to practice. Hear me, an hour to practice. I'm sitting there for an hour and a half, and then I drive almost an hour back home. So look, I mean, those are like what, 3.5 hours of my day that I'm literally just in a car or sitting waiting for them to come out of practice. And so when my son is asking me like, Mama, good morning, Joyce. When he's asking me, Mama, like, what are the fruits? Like, what are the benefits of what you're doing right now? I can tell my son the benefits of what I'm doing right now is that when your sister has a game, in Orlando, we can go stay an extra day. We can stay in a nice place. We can go to the games, pay to get in the games, right? Be there all weekend and then still come home. Those are the fruits of my labor. So when I tell y'all that growth is expensive, but it yields great results. Growth is whatever that looks like for you. And so, just like with my son, right? My son is going to challenge what my growth looks like. There are going to be people, I feel God this morning, y'all. There are going to be people that try to challenge your growth. There are going to be people that are going to look at you and say, baby, you're not growing. But they don't understand that me not punching you in your face, right? When you said what you said, come on, is growth. Me not lashing out on you when I really want to lash out on you is growth. Me not pulling up on somebody when I really want to pull up on somebody is growth. Me being able to show up in certain spaces when once upon a time I couldn't, come on, is growth. So don't look at somebody else's life and determine what growth is supposed to look like. And don't allow somebody else to look at your life to determine what growth is supposed to look like. Because what happens is we try to take in what somebody else is saying and can I help you? You will get distracted. I just came to coach y'all a little bit this morning. Some of y'all are so distracted because people are looking at you and they're like, you're not growing, you're not moving, you don't have this. This is why for me as a coach, I'm never going to flash what I have. I don't need to flash what I have to get you to buy into what I'm saying. If you don't buy into what I'm saying based off of, because I can buy cars and houses and all these things on credit cards, right? And so sometimes you pick your coach based off of the level of what you see materialistic and not the fruits of what's coming out of their mouth. Because let me tell you something, what somebody says should always align with their life. And so I've watched people, hear me this morning, pick coaches based off of, pick leaders, pick people, pick friends based off of what you see they have accumulated, right? But they're mentally unstable. Some of them are mentally unstable, can I tell you? Because they accumulated these things on debt. They accumulated all of these things and they're trying to figure out how to pay for it. So you don't never pick, you know what I'm saying, who you choose to follow based off of the materialistic things that they have. Rather, let me see some fruit. The Bible clearly talks about it all the time, that your fruit is going to speak for you. Your fruit will speak for you. Your fruit will speak for you. Like, people should be able. I ain't never post no house. I ain't never post no car. I ain't never flashed no money. However, those of you that have been following me for a while, you have been able to watch my level of growth. Not by what I have, by what I say, right? Not by what I can produce materialistic wise, right? But what I say. And so what am I saying, y'all? Growth is expensive, but it yields great results. So stop looking at somebody else's life to determine where you're supposed to be, to figure out, if am I growing, am I not growing, am I where I'm. Just listen, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. If you're not doing the same thing that you did last year, you're growing. If you're not doing the same thing you was doing last month, you're growing. If you check that goal off your list, listen, you're growing. And so it's whatever it looks like for you. And I'm going to keep saying it all the time. Success is whatever success looks like to you. And so when my son asked me that question, honestly, listen, y'all, it brought a sense of joy to myself. It made me, y'all, it made me assess myself. It made me assess myself. And y'all, sometimes you can be doing so much that you cannot see the fruits of your own labor. You could be doing so much that you don't even feel like you're growing. I don't feel like I'm doing nothing. I don't feel like I'm making an impact, right? Because you go from one thing to the next and then the next, and you're constantly moving. So because I'm constantly moving, y'all, I didn't even, really see how far I really came. But when my son asked me that question, it really, really made me, y'all, it made me take an assessment over myself. It really made me think, like, okay, girl, where you at? And can I tell y'all, it allowed me to be grateful, because I don't have some of the things that I desire to have, the house and the cars and all the things, right? But the reality, like, listen, I could go get a car, right? And then I have to work to maintain that car, or I can continue the car that I have that is fine, and I can show up for my family. Which one is it? I got a decision to make. And what we do is we'll pick the car over being present. We'll pick the car over being able to show up where I'm supposed to be, show up in my business, show up for ministry, show up in all these different spaces. We will make the decision to show up in all these different spaces, right? Because some of us have issues with, feeling left out and, all the kind of stuff. But the reality is this, like, growth is expensive. You pick and choose where you spend your money. I said that when I came on here. You pick and choose what that looks like for you. And so it allowed me to do an assessment. When my son asked me that question, I was like, dang, son. You know what I'm saying? But then when I think about it, I'm like, I'm so grateful that I can be present, because I remember the time. Come on, I remember the time. I remember the time when I was working so much and I couldn't be present. I was working so much that by the time I got home, my kids were in the bed. I was working so much that I could not be a present mom. Listen, people don't like to tell these type of stories. And I wasn't present because I didn't want to be present. I was present because I was having to work so hard to provide for my children. I got to shop, come on, and I got a household bills. I got 2 sets of bills I have to take care of. Not just 1 set of bills, I got 2. And so if I don't have enough people in my shop, guess what? I got to make it work. I got to make it happen. And so I remember the times. And so my ability that I can work 3 days, I remember I was just saying like last year, I said, I want to drop my number of days in the shop. And I want to help somebody today. I said, I want to drop my number of days in the shop. And I said, you know what? I said, me dropping the number of days in my shop, what does that look like for me? I had to create a plan. I had to have strategy. And y'all, let me tell y'all, when my daughter started playing AAU, it pushed me because I wanted to be present. I desired to be present. And then I realized, girl, you are working 3 days. The things I desire, I wanted to work 3 days a week. And so I work 3 days a week. I work Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And every now and again, I work Saturdays. But listen, I had to work myself to that place. And so that's growth for me. When I can drop down to 2 days a week, come on, that's growth for me. When I can drop to that 1 day a week, come on, that's growth. And so it's whatever it looks like for you. I don't care about the house. I don't care about the cars. That stuff is not important to me. That stuff will eventually come. What's important for me right now is being a present mother. That's what's important to me. And so whatever is important, if you want the house, listen, go get it. If you want the car, go get it. It's whatever it looks like for you. Can I be honest? There are some of us, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying, listen, I'm going to help some of y'all today. Right? Tag some of y'all friends in this live because it's about to get good. I'm not saying this, right? That as a woman, that we don't have goals and we don't have dreams and we don't have aspirations. Blessings on you, Brian. I'm not saying that we're not supposed to have those things, right? But they should never come. I know, and this is going to be a tight conversation, y'all. It should never come at the expense of your relationship. It should never come at the expense of your marriage. And that's men included, right? Because men and women, that's it. My testimony is loaded. I love it. Because sometimes as men and women, hear me, we will work so hard for things that we miss out on having the relationship. Some of y'all are working yourselves to death to have cars and to have houses that you are missing out. This is so good, but I feel the Lord on it. That we're missing out on actually having relationship. Your marriage is suffering because you guys are choosing cars and houses and money over prioritizing your relationship. You don't need all those things. However, that's what we're doing. So in order to maintain this 5-bedroom house that we really don't need, listen, we are sacrificing that we never get to see each other. We never get to spend time with one another. We got 3 cars in the driveway, and those 3 cars are costing us $2,000 a month. But it's also costing us, it's also costing us our relationship. So yes, growth is expensive. But what did I tell you earlier, right? You have to be so mindful about where you spend your money. You have to be so mindful about where you put your resources. And some of us right now, we're talking about how tight our money is and things are happening in the economy. It's because we are living outside of our means. It's because we're desiring things, right, to look a certain type of way and not live a certain type of way. And so when I'm telling y'all, listen, I'm so cool with where I am right now, and my kids are like, first of all, we live in a house, we live in a nice size house. We don't need no bigger house, because what do we need a bigger house for? Y'all got rooms, we got extra rooms, we got flex rooms. What exactly do you need? And this is what happens as parents. You'll start listening to your kids talk about, well, mommy, we need this and we need that. Somebody's like, oh, you need another car. Are you going to pay that car note? That's all I want to know. I don't like my car, the aesthetics of the car, however, it gets me where I need it to go. And before I spend $1,000 on getting another car that I don't need in this moment, that $1,000 a month can go into me being what? A present mother. That $1,000 a month can go into me showing up for my children. Can I tell you that $1,000? I feel God on this, y'all. That $1,000 gives me rest. Because think about it. If I got an extra payment, now I got to work extra hard to be able to maintain that extra payment. And so some of us are working ourselves to death for things. And now we're overwhelmed. I sat down at my desk the other day And because there's some things I want to work towards, there's some things that I want to do, that I'm getting ready to launch, right? Because I want to be a present mother, right? So I'm working on the next thing. And I was sitting here and I was like, I need to do a real deep dive into my finances. I really need to see spaces where I'm wasting money. I pulled up every single one of my accounts. I pulled up the last 4 bank statements of all of my accounts and I went over them. And I said, where are you spending your money? What do we need to let go of? What are some areas that I need to make adjustments? I'm gonna give y'all the real practical teaching. All right, listen, I'm that coach. All right, where am I spending my money? Where am I wasting my seed? What do I need to let go of? Right? I need to cook. Like, let me tell y'all use chat for other stuff. I said, chat, listen, I need you to create me a meal plan for these amount of days, and this is what we eat, and this is what we do, and this is how much money I want to spend. This is how precise I be. I was like, oh no, we got to start meal prepping. You know what I'm saying? Because this DoorDash bill is loud. Come on. That DoorDash loud, though you think it's not much, but that little $20, $30, it starts to add up. And so I don't have a DoorDash bill for me. I got a DoorDash bill for me and my kids. Y'all keep me in prayer. All right. I told y'all I had to do an assessment. I'm not telling y'all, I'm not talking to you guys from a place of perfection. I'm talking to you guys from a place of I want to help you be better. All right. Hear me. And so I got a DoorDash bill. My kids got a DoorDash bill. But their DoorDash bill is my DoorDash bill. I said, oh no, wait a minute. And so when I started to dive deep into my finances, I pulled the last 4 months of my bank statements. I said, Takara, where are you spending your money? Where are you wasting your money? Where can we make adjustments? Why? Because I got a goal that I'm trying to get to. I'm going somewhere. I'm trying to make adjustments. I told y'all my number one goal. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care what y'all goals are. My number one goal is to be a present mother. And because I want to be a present mother, I started going through my finances. I said, okay, listen, what I need to do. All right, what do I need to block out? On Saturday, I was super strategic. I put some stuff into the cart. I didn't put nothing in my cart. Come on, access, because sometimes what happens is we go to the grocery store and we start just throwing stuff in the cart that we think we're gonna cook that we're not ever gonna cook. So I was very precise about what I put inside of my cart, and I only brought the things, come on, that were on my list. So I made sure that I didn't go over. I already knew financially what I was looking at. Listen, when you got goals, this is what I mean when I say that it requires a strategy. This is what I mean. When I say that coming out of debt, when I say living a life of financial freedom, it requires strategy. This is exactly what I mean. It means that I take an assessment over every area of my life. I'm not just swiping the card just to be swiping the card and then I look up and be like, where my money at? Right? So the growing part of it being expensive also means that I got to be able to take a clear assessment on where am I? Where am I at? Where am I trying to go? Right? Where am I? Why? Because I want to be better. And so I took a dive deep, y'all, into my finances. Because the next part of what I'm getting ready to build is expensive. The next part of what I'm doing, y'all, is expensive. And because the next part of what I'm building is expensive, I got to make sure, come on, I got to make sure that I got the finances so I can do what I need to do. So I X'd out those Door Dashes, right? My DoorDash, the kids' DoorDash. Don't ask me for no DoorDash unless you got money for DoorDash, okay? But that money is going to be invested into the next thing that I'm getting ready to build. And the next thing that I'm building is not to be built because I want to look a certain type of way. Listen, the next thing I'm building is not because, I want to seem, like all great and grand. No, the next thing I'm building is because my next goal, I'm going to share with y'all my next goal so that y'all can watch my story. My next goal is to be home with my kids every day when they come off the bus. Now, right now, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, but I tell y'all, I'm still in the shop a little bit later than I want to be. But I said my next goal is if they can't come during the day to get their hair done, I ain't gonna be able to help them. I want to be home. I was getting ready to go get me a little job, and I said, "Grace and peace, Pastor." I said, "I'm getting ready to go get me a job because this entrepreneur thing is rough." You know what I'm saying? I was like, "I want to be home with my children." I said, "But you know what?" I said, "I don't have to go get me a job." Right, to be home with my children. What I do is I create the life that I desire. I tell y'all that, listen, from the time I started coaching, my tagline was always, I'm creating the life that I want to live. And so I sat down and I made the plan to create the life that I want to live. And so therefore, because I'm creating the life that I want to live, my next goal is I want to be home when my kids get off the bus. That's my goal. My goal is to be home when my kids get home and I'm working on dinner and we can have conversations, right? Now, right now I'm off on Mondays and Wednesdays. So Mondays and Wednesdays, I am present, right? But Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, it ain't the same. And so I'm creating that life. And so instead of me going out to getting a 9 to 5 and working for somebody else, I said, no, wait a minute, Takara. You know how to execute. Sit down and create the plan. And so right now, the next phase of what I'm working on is so that I can be home when my kids get off the bus. That's what success looks like to me. I don't know what it looks like for y'all, but that's what it looks like for me. It looks like for me being present. And let me tell y'all another thing, right? This is what I was telling you earlier. I desire to be married, right? And because I desire to be married, and yes, he's going to be an added, but I'm also bringing something to the table. So what I bring to the table also is going to be something that me and my spouse can work together. Listen, I declare, I decree. Listen, I'm speaking it of my own life. I don't care about you. I don't know if y'all speaking it. However, I'm speaking it. And so I don't have no desire that being married, being at the shop all hours of the night. That's not a desire that I have. And because that's not my desire, listen, I'm building something right now that I can be at home and I can work. Then when my husband come home, when my kids come home, I'm home. That's what success looks like for me. I don't care about no house. I don't care about no cars. I don't care about all that kind of stuff. Now, trips are very important to me, right? So I'm building that. I'm learning to build those into what I'm building as well. I want to travel and I want my kids to travel. I'm not going to travel. My kids don't travel. So I want to make sure that my kids are also being able to see the world. I'm just not going to be out here having trips and leaving my kids at home. So it's something as a collective. What I'm saying, y'all, is this is that growth is expensive. Good morning. That growth is expensive, right? But it yields great results. And so, whatever success looks like to you is what success looks like to you. Those of you that are just joining us, welcome. This is our little go moment. I just come on here to have a little conversation with y'all. But it blessed my soul. My son, I'll start a little bit just with those videos coming in. My son, he asked me, he told me that I've been working a lot. And my son asked me, what was the fruits of my labor? Pretty much, what am I yielding out of what I'm working? He asked me, am I really seeing results from the amount of time that I work? And I told my son, yes, I am. And my son said, well, what is it? And so I told my son that I can be at your basketball games. I can take you to practice. I can take your sister to practice. I can pick your sister up from practice. I can do all the things. I can take y'all to games. I can take them to get to their friends' games at school. And so what I'm saying is just that success looks different for everybody. And so I'm just here to tell you, like, to go after what it looks like for you. Pursue what it looks like for you. And so yes, growing has been expensive. It's cost me some things. It's cost me some times. It's cost me some late nights, right? It's cost me friendships. Because even in growing, people don't understand your growth. People will desire your time, but they don't understand, the grind behind why I can't show up for you, right? And so people have this expectation for you to show up for them in a certain type of way. And so maybe sometimes I just can't, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm building something. The reality is, yes, I am. I'm a like I don't know. I don't want to call it a co-parenting. You know what I'm saying? Because their father is here. However, it's I'm still the custodial parent. If they get sick, I still got to show up. You know what I'm saying? I still got to go to the school. I still got to do all of the different things. I still have to be what? The present person. When they come home, they come home to me. They don't come home to them. They comes home. They come home to me. And so yes, there is their father is still is around. However, I'm the present parent. So the reality is that when I'm talking about growth and I'm talking about showing up for my children, I'm talking about me showing up. I'm talking about me being present. And that's my desire, you know. And so I remember the days and the moments when I worked all night. I remember the days when I worked 6 days a week. Being on my feet for 6 days a week and then still coming home and building my other businesses. And so just the fact that I can take off 2 days, I don't work Mondays and Wednesdays. The fact that I can literally work like 3 days a week and still be able to sustain the way I need to be sustained is amazing. Then I went on and like took on another building, right? So right now I'm maintaining three spaces: my home, the well, and the shop, right? I got three spaces. And so it's not always easy. I got to be able to, something happened at the buildings, I got to be able to show up. Last week, the dryer went out, right? So I'm working. And because it's my business essentially, right? I thank God for one of the girls in the shop. She was able to really, um, Carolyn, shout out to my girl, was really able to come in and help and assist. But like when the dryer went out, right? It's my responsibility. So in between clients, I gotta go to the laundromat. Make sure we got towels, right? I gotta make sure things are clean. I gotta make sure things are together. You know what I'm saying? I gotta make sure things are working properly, right? So that $250 bill, y'all, it was on me. Now nobody else was on me. I had to figure it out. And so what I'm saying is that growth is expensive. It's amazing. Like to be able to see the level of growth and what I'm able to build and what I'm able to do. It's amazing. It's great. But it do cost. It'll cost you something. But make sure that whatever, when we talk about the cost of a thing, we talk about growth being expensive, just make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. Make sure that your heart is in the right place. It was a no brainer. Why? Because I love the well. You know what I'm saying? It was a no brainer. I have to go. I got to clean. I got to make sure things are straight. I got to make sure things are in order. You know what I'm saying? But I love the well. I love what God is building. So I do it. And in the other aspects, this is where we were talking about last night about the supernatural and the natural, right? Because I do what I can do in the natural and then I allow the supernatural to show up, right? I do what I can do. But ultimately, I always say, like, this belongs to God. This house belongs to God. My shop belongs to God. The will belongs to God. Them kids belong to God. And because all of these things belong to Him, He's going to take care of it. But I have to do my part. And doing my part means stewarding what God has given me well. And so that's why I said I did a good dive. I said, let me look at these bank statements. Let me see where I'm spending my money. And I'm gonna challenge you guys to do the same thing. Go look at your bank statements. Go see where you're spending your money. And then ask yourself, am I stewarding my finances well? Am I stewarding my life well? Go see where you spend your time. Go back, go look in your phone and see your weekly report. What apps are you on the most? Are you scrolling all day? Are you on Facebook all day? Are you on TikTok all day? Are you just texting and talking to people all day? Where are you spending your time? Do a good assessment. Sometimes we just go in places that we don't really need to go. We don't need to be. We don't need to show up. The other week I was like, oh, somebody was having a service. I was like, dang, I really want to go. I said, no, girl, you're going to stay home and you're going to sleep. I could have went and supported. However, I needed rest. And that's where we talk about, assessing our time. So I can't just assess my money, but I'm assessing my time. I am constantly reviewing my calendar. Somebody asked me today, can I do something? I responded maybe a day or two later. Why? Because I didn't want to make an emotional decision because I could be emotional. I didn't just want to say yes because they wanted me to say yes. I had to make sure that I had all of the details before I said yes. So my response wasn't yes. My response was, how does this work? What do you need? What is the time frame? Why? Because I got to make sure that I can afford mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially. I had to make sure that it was something that I could afford to do. Once upon a time, when somebody would inbox me and ask me to do something, my response, can you come preach? Can you come do this? My response would always be yes. What you need. Now, my response is delayed. Now my response is, let me ask some questions about what does this look like for me before I say yes. So I hope I said something today that blessed your life. Like I said, I just try to come on here to have these little simple coaching go moments, just to try to encourage us, y'all, to be better, to encourage us, to strengthen us. Right? There's such a wisdom that only God can bring, and I feel like it was this morning that the wisdom of God, He stepped in to help us today, to strengthen us to be better in every area of our life. And so what did I tell y'all? Like growth is expensive, but it yields great results. It does. It really does. It really yields great results. And because it yields great results, awesome, Jania. I want us to stay in this place. All right. So I love y'all so much. I pray y'all have a great day. I pray y'all have an amazing day. Listen, share this live with somebody that might need it. That might be struggling with what growth looks like to them. That might be struggling with how they view their present life. You know, show this. I want you guys to really share this with some married couples. I really felt God on that. Um, and how many married couples are really struggling, right? Just for the simple fact that we living outside of our means, that many married couples are struggling because we're trying to keep up with these materialistic things. But meanwhile, there are marriages that are dying. I felt God so strong on that. And so share this with someone. It might mean you need to downsize. You know what I'm saying? It might mean you need to sell some stuff. You know, the same way that, oh, this is so good. The same way people can accumulate debt, right? But some of y'all marriages are in bankruptcy right now. Some of y'all relationships are in bankruptcy. You in debt because of where you've spent your time. And so sometimes you got to sell some stuff off to gain, come on, to gain your time back. You got to sell some stuff off to gain the relationship back. So that's all I have today. I love y'all so much. I pray you have a great day, an amazing day. All right. Be well. Bye.